So in the last session, we created forms like this. So this is the form we created. And we have seen different ways to create the form here, input fields with the different styles here, and also as the input group. Okay, all these things. And the last thing that we need to discuss is floating labels. Once the floating label concept is completed, then we can go with the Bootstrap grid layout. So floating labels is also a new feature added in Bootstrap 5, which can make more attractive and unique these input fields actually. So let us see how these floating input fields are existed. So to create the floating labels, actually here the label will be floated. What does it mean? As of now, when we look at the previous form that we created, labels are here. So they are not really floating here. But it is possible to make the labels as floating labels. For that purpose, we just need to add a class called form floating to the parent element. So automatically the floating label will be created. So let me show the demonstration by taking a simple input field here. So I have taken the same username again here. Okay, so I have taken the username. The first thing is, for the parent element, this is the div is the parent element for this input field. So let me take it as the label. Okay, so label we have taken and the rest of the things are same here. Okay, so let us see how it appears initially. It is like a normal input field here. Okay, so now we can remove this class also. This class also not required. Just this is very normal input field. You can see username is the label and input field is appearing very normally here. So first thing is the parent element. This is the div parent element, which is used to pack these label and input field together. Here we should use the new class called as form floating. Okay, when we apply the class called as form floating here that we have taken, let us see what changes will be occurred here. Now this label is part of the input field. Actually, up to now the label is outside of the input field, but by applying the class called form floating, so this label is become part of this input field and input field height is increased a bit. Okay, now when I click on it, so still we are not getting the label floating label effect. It is appearing like a label, but it just became the part of the input field. But we have to get the floating label effect. So to get the floating label effect, just we need to do a simple technique. So for the input fields, you can just take the placeholder. Anything you can place. So placeholder is mandatory. Actually, we know the placeholder will appear in place of when the input field is empty. That is actual purpose of the placeholder. But when you are creating the floating labels, so the placeholder really won't appear. But this helps us to get the floating label effect. If you do not write this placeholder, so you cannot see the floating label effect. So now I have added the placeholder to this. Let us see how it appears. So as of now, there is no difference. The label is part of, which is inside of this input field. Let me click in the input field. So when I click on input field, it is not working. I think we forgot to connect them. So username, input field of text, form control, form floating. Let me try with form -label. Yeah, so we have used the same ID for many times. So let me change the ID. So let me write this as test ID, for example. Okay. So still it is not working. Let us check the class name. Form floating and check the spelling also here. Form floating and class is form label, input field of form control. We have taken some input field. Save this, reload the page. So let us get from the get bootstrap here once. So whenever you have some doubts, you can just verify the official website. Here, go for the floating labels. So there you can see form floating is the class we should apply. And for the input field, we can use the form control class. And after that, we no need to, yes, this is the point we missed. We need to place the label outside, that means after the input field. So that is the only thing we have missed here. Let's do it. So let us take the label and place it just after the input field. And now actually this class is also not required for this. Okay, so now let us see. Once I click on it, see the label is floated. That means the size of the label is decreased and it is floated towards the top left corner of this input field. When I click on outside, so when it is out of focus, the label is appearing normally. But when we click on this, that means the input field is active. When the input field is active, so the label is getting floated like this towards the top left corner. This is called as the floating label effect. So now we have seen the floating label, one of the modern effect, and the second one is input group, where the label is become part of the input field, and the remaining are very normal kind of things in this way. So this is the way that we can create the floating labels. The only thing is, first we should apply the form floating class for the parent element, that is div, and for the input field you should apply the placeholder, and we need to place the label after the input field. So if you place this label above this input field, you cannot see the floating effect. So like that they have designed this. Actually this floating label was not part of Bootstrap before 5 version. Okay, so previously if you want to create this floating effect, we have to write our own CSS code. But to do favor to the developers, Bootstrap has added these floating labels also in the version 5. So now we can start using this. So this is about the forms, and we have completed all form classes here successfully. So now let's go to the next important part of this Bootstrap, which is grid layout. Okay, so this grid layout is, as I said on yesterday, it is heart of the Bootstrap, which can be used to create the layout. And first let us understand what is layout, and after that we can see how to create these layouts by using this Bootstrap support. So yesterday I said that layout means the structure of the page. When you take any web application, so the web application, the web page contains some structure that is called as skeleton of the web page or structure of the web page, whatever it may be. Technically, that structure of the web page can also be called as the layout. First, let us visit some websites and observe their layout. That means their skeleton, and we can move back to this one. For example, let's go to GitHub, one of the popular web applications. When you look at this web application here, you can see this page is divided into 3 parts actually. So this is the left side part where we can see the repositories information, and this is the right side where you can see some ads and some additional information, and this is the middle part where you can find some important information regarding this one. Of course, let's go for some other. For example, if I go to some developer.mozilla.other website, it also contains a structure. It also has the 3 parts here. So the left side part contains the menu. So right side contains the menu related to the selected item here. And the middle part contains the content of the selection, whatever you made from here. Next, let's go for some other website. So this Angular, of course, this application also has the 3 parts layout, but this is not common for every application. Sometimes some applications have a different structure. For example, let's go to the different. Of course, here also it is divided into 3 parts. If I go to LinkedIn, for example, so the LinkedIn also contains these 3 kinds of parts, but with slightly different kind of things. Okay, so once you observe all these kind of things, see here it contains 3 parts, but the first part contains only the icons, not any menu items. And this right side part is little bit larger actually, which contains the profile information and everything. And the middle part contains the mail content. So the main content actually. So based on this observation, now let's go for the Amazon, for example. So it contains a typical different structure actually. Okay, so this contains a different layout where the page is divided into different parts and they are organized in a well manner. Okay, all these things here. So based on this, the final conclusion is every web page contains a structure. We can call it as the layout. Especially when we are designing the web application, first we should fix the layout design, the layout structure. So once the structure is fixed, then we can add elements to that structure. So for example, if I divide the page into 3 parts, so then I can decide which part should be added to the left part, right part, and middle part of that page. So first we have to decide and we have to fix the structure of the page. How can we do that? As of now, we worked with the individual properties, how to style the forms, how to style the tables, and how to style the other image elements or some typography kind of things. All these things helps us to style a particular part of the page. But if we take the page, it contains some headings, tables, forms, and many more. So where to place them properly? If you do not follow some proper structure guidelines, what happened? Your page will become clumsy totally. It mess up with all these elements. So first you have to design what structure you prefer for your application. So once the structure is fixed, then you can think about the development process, and then you can think about what elements you can place with respect to structure of the page. So to design such kind of structure, so Bootstrap has given a layout design. So that is called as the grid layout actually. Very, very important, very useful. Initially, when I start explaining this, it appears something like a difficult concept or confusing concept, but don't worry. After some 5 to 10 minutes, I will give some 2 or 3 examples. So definitely you can understand how easy it is to use this layout. Actually, without using this Bootstrap, in CSS also we try to create the layouts. At that time, we take the support of the Flex and media queries, and we design the layout and make it responsive. But here, so Flex is already existed. This grid system is built on top of the Flex. That's why without writing any Flex properties, you can take complete support of this grid layout and you can start designing the layout here. Okay, first let me give you some basic information about this layout design and we can start designing this. So the Bootstrap grid layout, the first key idea is the width of the page or the width of the device is divided into 12 equal sized columns. That is the first important point. So the entire grid layout is depends on. So the width of the page is divided into, or the width of the device is can be divided into 12 equal sized columns. That is the fundamental principle. The maximum number of columns are 12. A row can accept maximum 12 number of columns. That is the first important key point here. So based on this point, you can start designing. Just that point is itself is enough and you can start designing the layout. So how can we do that? For example, if we take this picture here, this is the first row. So in this first row, we can see this row is divided into 12 parts, so that each part is existed with a uniform size, so that I am able to split this row into 12 equal sized columns. Okay, now come to the second row here. In the second row, I divide this second row into 6 parts actually, 6 equal parts. 6 equal parts in the sense total number of columns are 12, then 12 by 6 is equal to 2. I have to merge 2 consecutive columns together, and finally I could able to split this row into 6 equal parts. The first row is divided into 12 equal parts. The second one is divided into 6 equal parts. 6 equal parts in the sense we have to merge consecutive 2 columns together. When you come to the third row here, the same row is divided into 4 equal parts. 4 equal parts in the sense 12 by 4 is equal to 3, so that we have to merge the 3 consecutive rows together as a part, so we can do that. So once we observe these first 4 rows, so we made the equal division. So equal to 3 plus 3, 4 plus 4, etc. So not only that, so you can make some unequal kind of division also. For example, if you take this, so the first 8 columns are joined and the next 4 columns are joined, and finally it is 8 plus 4 ratio. Or you can take 6 plus 6, or you can take 2 plus 5 plus something. But the important thing is the sum should be 12. The sum should not exceed 12. What happened when the sum exceeds 12? So it can hold maximum 12 columns. If the size, the number of columns more than 12, definitely it try to move to the next line automatically, because when it cannot hold the number of columns more than 12, automatically it will push the last element to the next line. So that's why the maximum number of columns per the row are 12. So now let us take this point and start designing our things. So before that, I will show you one more important point here. So it also helps us to understand the concept here. So first of all, Let me create the new application here and we can proceed. So to create the new application, we need this Bootstrap link. So let me get the CSS link. I want to create another project here for the demonstration of layout. So let me make the initial setup here. So let me add this Bootstrap CDN link and let me add some CSS file also here, because sometimes I need to write some CSS code at least. So this will be useful to me. Styles.css, and connect this external CSS file also here. Okay, the initial setup is ready, and let me open with live server. Okay, so everything is ready here. Okay, so now how can we take the row? First of all, how can you create the row and how can you split the row into multiple columns? How can we do that practically here? So for that purpose, Bootstrap has given two classes to us. Okay, so the first class is row. Row is the class which can be used to create a row. And how can you split the row into multiple columns? For that purpose, it has given the second class starts with call -infix -row count. So let us see what is call and what is row count here. Row count means how many columns that you want to join together. How many columns? Actually, instead of row count, we can call it as column count. So how many columns that you want to join together? So do you want to join 2 columns as a single unit, 3 columns as the single unit, 5 columns as the single unit? So for example, if I write some example here, I can write call-3, for example. If I write call-3, what does it mean? So in this specific row, 3 columns need to be joined together. If I write call-5, so 5 columns has to be joined together. If I write 7 columns has to be joined together. If I write 12 columns has to be joined together. That is the meaning of the call and the column count that you write here. But in between them, we need to write the infix. So what is infix basically? This infix decides at which page. That means this particular layout should be responsive. How can we decide the responsiveness of the page? Definitely we need to take the breakpoints. So many devices are available in the universe or in the planet at least. So when different kinds of devices are existed, so now you are designing the page by targeting which device here. It is very complex. That's why some breakpoints are given. We have already seen the breakpoints in CSS. But Bootstrap has given very refined structure of these breakpoints. So let us have a look on the breakpoints. With respect to these breakpoints, we have to understand the concept. So the first categorization is if the width of the device is less than 576 pixels, it is called as extra small device and no infix is existed. So extra small. So all the devices whose width less than 576 pixels, they are called as the extra small devices. Next, small devices. Small devices means the devices whose width between 576 pixels and 768. Initially, you may feel little bit difficulty to remember these numbers, but don't worry, guys. You no need to by heart and remember at this moment. Through practice, automatically you can remember them. So less than 576, they are called as extra small devices. 576 to 768, these are called as the small devices. 768 to 992, they are called as the medium devices. 990 to 1200, they are called as the large devices. 1200 to 1400, they are called as the extra large devices. Above 1400, they are called as the extra large devices. This is the exact categorization made by the Bootstrap. Almost all devices follow the same kind of guidelines. So mobiles whose width are less than 576, they come under the extra small and so on. Now, if the device is small device, that means whose width is between 576 and 768 pixels. So the infix is SM. Why we are calling this as the infix means, so it is existed in between call and the column count. So for example, if I write call-SM-12 or call-SM-6, what does it mean? So the device whose width in between 576 to 768, so it is going to occupy 6 columns. If I write MD here, for example, so col-MD-6. So what does it mean here? MD stands for medium. Medium in the sense 768 pixels to 992. This is called as the medium range. So if I write col-MD-6, which means if the width of the device is from 768 pixels to 992, in between them, so it is going to join the 6 columns together. So in that way, we are going to design these two classes. So row is the first class and this is the second class. By using only these two classes, we can design the page and we can create the structure and everything very easily. So let us start doing this. So now I will show one more picture here. I have created the scale actually. So the scale is very, very important, and just to take a screenshot of this scale provides the complete information to you, because if it is available in the form of table, it is a little bit hard to understand and read these concepts. But when it is available in the form of a scale here, so it is quite meaningful and very, very easy to understand. The same story I created in the form of the scale here. So now the devices whose width less than 576 pixels, they are called extra small devices. So no infix is existed for them. And between 576 to 768. So now you can easily understand the range here. They are called as the small devices. Their infix value is SM. 768 to 992, they are called as medium devices. Their infix is MD. Similarly, between 990 to 1200 LG, 1200 to 1400 extra large XL, 1200 and above all fall into the same category. They are extra large and the infix is XXL, double XL. Okay, so now let us try to create our first row and divide the row into different parts here. So first thing is I would like to have a container. That's the first important principle. So let me add a fixed width container here. Container is ready. And after that, I would like to take a row here. So the first row I'm taking. How can you take the row? It's very simple. Take the div element and apply the class called as row. Now the first row is ready. Like that, you can take as many rows as you need. So now here, I want to divide this row into two equal parts. Two equal parts in the sense, we know a row can hold 12 columns. Two equal parts in the sense, 6 plus 6 definitely. Then what should I do here? So col-SM-6. So the first part is ready. And for the second part also, col-SM-6. Now, once you observe this row is divided into two parts actually. So this div element merged the first 6 columns and this merged the next 6 columns. Now I want to see their boundaries clearly. Actually, I have not placed any content. Just let me place 1 and 2 here. And let me take some background color also for better identification here. So let me take this as the BG danger and this as BG warning, for example. I have taken 2 colors. Let us open the browser and see here. Now you can see this row is divided into 2 parts. The red color represents the first 6 columns. Yellow color represents the next 6 columns. How we are able to divide this row into 2 equal columns? That is just by using this class. So I have taken a row first of all, and you can divide the row into as many parts as you like, not only 2 parts. You can divide them either 3 parts or 5 parts or 7 parts. But important thing is the sum should be 12. Now the question is, sir, for example, if the sum exceeds 12, now I have taken 6 and 7. The sum of 6 and 7 is 13, which is more than 12. Then what happened? You can see the last element will be pushed to the next line automatically. That's why always the sum should be 12 or less than 12, but not more than the 12. Now it is clear. Now the question is, so what is the meaning of SM here? Why should we write only SM? What happened if I write MD or something in here? So SM means it will start from 576 pixels and above. That means if I open this page in the device whose width is greater than 576 pixels, so the row is divided into 2 parts, because I have mentioned the row should be divided into 2 equal parts from SM device onwards. SM in the sense 576 pixels and above. Okay, now let me open the developer tools and see what is the width of this one. I already explained you when we are reducing or increasing the viewport width, at the top right corner, you can see the resolution, the width and height here. So we no need to bother the second one. Why? Because the width is important to us. Now you can see it is 1028 pixels width. So that means it is above SM. Okay, so now 807 pixels, 85 pixels. That means above 576, the row will be divided into two parts. Now the question is, what if you open the page in less than 576 pixels? Now let me try to open this in 576. See here, when we go to the less than 576 pixels, so the elements are organized one after the other. Actually, to achieve this, we used the flex in CSS. So there we have given the flex wrap property. By using the flex wrap property, what happened when sufficient space is not there, so it will move the content to the next line automatically. So now you can see when we open the page in the mobile, so it will give the appearance like this. And if I open above 576 pixels, then the row is divided into two equal parts. Now you can see the breakpoint. So up to 576 here, you can see now it is 576. It is still 6 plus 6 less than 576. See here, it is adjusting automatically. That means this is called as the responsive class. Now here, in place of this 1 and 2, you can take whatever the elements you want. They will be adjusted automatically. Let me show you an example here. So for example, here instead of taking 1, I can take a simple paragraph, lorem some 20. Okay, I have taken this one. In the same way, let me take the same in the second part also here. Okay, so now in the first 6 columns, I have taken the paragraph. In the next 6 columns also, I have taken another paragraph. Let us see the page here. Now we can see this is the first part and this is the second part. If I open this page in the device whose width greater than 576, so the row divided into two beautiful equal parts in this way. But when I open this page in the mobile, see here. So still in mobile, it is giving the best view, because in mobile, if it still try to occupy 6 and 6, the width of the mobile is very small one. Okay, that's why 6 plus 6 means, so it will get very small width here and we could not see the content properly. That's why here, so the call-sm class will make it responsive. So above sm means above 576 pixels, it will divide this row into two equal parts. Below 576, it will align the elements one after the other. Technically, this is called as the stacked view. Stacked view in the sense elements can be placed one on the other. That is called as the stack, basically stacked view. And then it is like this. See here, it is giving good view in the mobile, in the laptops, in the tabs, and even mobile also it is giving the extraordinary view in this way. That is the responsiveness. Now to get this responsiveness here, I have not used any flex. I didn't write even the single media query. Without writing, just by using these two classes, I achieved it. Now the first row is ready. Okay, now let me take the second row. Let me collapse this first row here. Okay, in the first row, let me give some more information to you. Okay, here I have given SM. In place of SM, if I give MD here, what does it mean? Now I have given call MD-6, call MD-6. So now this row divide into two equal parts, but from which width onwards? What is the width of MD? Where the MD will be started? So the MD width will be started from above 768 pixels onwards. Below 768, it will fall into small category. From 768 pixel onwards, MD will be started. That means above 768 pixels, it divides the row into two equal parts. Below 768, it will get the stacked view. See here, now it is 932, 801, 771, still it is 6 plus 6. If it is less than 768, it is getting the stacked view. Okay, so now not only taking the equal kind of portion, you can divide them into different parts. For example, I can make it as 4 plus 8 even. The sum should be 12. What does it mean? So the first 4 columns will be joined and the next 8 columns will be joined. You can see the difference here. See here, now it is 4 plus 8 actually. But this 4 plus 8 partition will be there above 768 pixels only, because here we have used the responsive class MD. But below 768, so it will get the 100% width for each and every element here. This is called as the stacked view. So it will appear in this way. Now I would like to make some experiment here. So first let me write call-sm-6, and here also call-sm-6. So all of you observe carefully here, it is something funny. So I used two classes, one with respect to the small and another one is with respect to the medium. only two responsive classes I have taken with different proportions. So with respect to the small, I divide the row into 6 plus 6. With respect to the medium, it is into 4 plus 8. So what does it mean? So what is the width of the SM? 576 onwards. What is MD? 768. That means between 576 and 768, this row divides into 6 plus 6 only. And from 768 onwards, it will fall into medium category that will be divided into 4 plus 8. Let us see this magic now. So now it is above medium 768 pixels. That's why it is appearing like 4 plus 8. Cool. Now let's go to less than 768. Still it is 4 plus 8, less than 768. So now come to, once we come to the 768, the same row, now it is in 6 plus 6, not 4 plus 8. Just a bit above, see here it is 4 plus 8. Now it is 6 plus 6, less than 576, it is stacked view. See, 3 views of the same row. So this is the stacked view, and this is the 6 plus 6, and this is the 4 plus 8. So like that, you can play with this layout design with the support of these classes. How beautiful alignment it is, how simple it is. Within very less time, we have created this effect here. Okay, now let me take the another class, call hyphen. Next one is LG, that means large, which affects from 992 pixel onwards. So here I'm expecting this can be 8. And here call hyphen LG hyphen 4. So just I'm reverting this one. That means in the medium, it is 4 plus 8. In the large, it can be 8 plus 4. And in the small, it can be 6 plus 6. So now the same row, which can appear with different ratios with respect to different devices. So SM 576 to 768, it will be 6 plus 6. 768 to 992, it will be 4 plus 8. Above 992 onwards, it will be 8 plus 4. See the difference. Now let's go above 992. Now it is around some 1100. Okay. Now it is 8 plus 4. Now it is 4 plus 8. Now it is 6 plus 6. Now it is stacked view. Now you can open this in mobile, in the tab, in the laptop, in the larger screens. Still it is giving the beautiful view. You can decide the appearance of the row with respect to various devices as per your requirement. Now the thing is how these classes will be activated. The SM class will be activated when the width crosses 576 pixels. At that time, the remaining classes like MD, LG, they will be in inactivated state. So the SM class, these two classes will be activated when the width crosses 576 pixels. Okay. When the width crosses 768 pixels, then this MD class will be activated. So it turns this row into 4 plus 8 ratio. When 992 pixels crossed, then the LG class will be activated. Then it will divide the row into 8 plus 4 ratio. That means only one of them will be activated in these three classes with respect to the breakpoint. So I have already given the breakpoints here. So once you observe these breakpoints scale, actually, it would be very easy to you to understand. Okay, now the first row is ready. So let me collapse this row and I want to create the second row here. Let me write the comment row 2. As usually, you can take a row here. Now I want to divide this row into 3 parts. Whether they can be equal or unequal, whatever it may be. I'm going to make some experiments now. So I can take the 3 columns, 3 parts actually. So I can write call hyphen SM hyphen 4. In the same way, let me take the remaining 2 also. First, let me experiment with equal columns. 4 plus 4 plus 4, that is 12. And here I can take some simple data. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, and take some different background color for better identification. So BG secondary I have taken here, and BG info, and BG primary. So I have taken total 3 colors. Open the page. Now this is the second row. Now the second row is divided into 3 equal parts. So which responsive class I have used? SM. That means above 576, the row will be divided into 4 plus 4 plus 4. Below 576, it will get the stacked view. See here, all elements are arranged one on the other to give the stacked view here. Okay, now I want to divide them unequally, not equally. Then I can take 3 here. So 3 plus 4, 7 and 5. unequal division here, the same row. 3 plus 4 is 7 plus 5, 12. So now you can see 3 plus 4 plus 5. Or you can try with 2 and you can take this as 8 and the last one also 8. That means 2 plus 8 plus 2, that is 8 plus 2, 10, total 12 again. Now you can see the first two parts, 8 parts, and the next two parts. For this demonstration, I can take another simple paragraphs here. Okay, so lorem just 20 words. So let me take the same element in the remaining things also. Save it. You can see, so this paragraph is just using the space we have given here, 2 columns, and this is for the 8 columns, and this is for the 2 columns. This is up to above 576, but below 576, all will get into the stacked view in this way. So based on this, you can understand how the pages were aligned. Previously, we have seen many examples here. So the page is organized into 3 parts. How we can divide either 3 parts or 2 parts or 10 parts or single part. So we can take the support of this and we can start designing, and still it is responsive. In mobile, it is giving good view and all. Now let me take some other combinations also. So call -md -5. Here also call -md-5, and here call -md-2. So above 768 pixels, this class will be activated. Then the row will be split into 5 plus 2 plus 5. Below 768, it is 2 plus 8 plus 4. Above 768, it is 5 plus 2 plus 5. Let us see this. Now it is 5 plus 2 plus 5. Let's move less than 576. Okay. So this is 5 plus 2 plus 5. And below 768 pixels. Yes, now you can see it is above 768. Up to here it is 2 plus 8 plus 2. Above 768, now it is 5 plus 2 plus 5. And finally it is turned into the stacked view. See here how these elements are adjusting themselves with respect to the breakpoints we have given here. That is the power of this grid layout, guys. And just I have demonstrated the grid layout with the support of taking some sample data like paragraphs. Now in place of that, you can take whatever the elements you want. You can take the images, you can take the lists, and you can take some other content, whatever you want. Finally, the structure of the page can be fixed and still it is responsive. You no need to write any media query. Now the second row is also ready. In that way, you can take any number of rows here and you can divide the row with respect to your application's architecture itself. Hence, the layout is said to be completed here. So 2 things here we need to remember. The first one is the maximum number of columns in a row is 12. And with respect to these breakpoints, we can make it responsive. And to remember these breakpoints, this scale will really helpful to us. So 576, 768, and within that I have given the infix values also. Okay. And finally, we are using just 2 classes. So the first class is row. The second one is this one here. We can write the infix and the column count, whatever you want to join the columns together. Hence, the responsive grid layout is said to be completed. So from today onwards, almost every day we need to work with this grid layout. So it has that much of importance, because from now onwards, we are going to focus on layout design. So just the introduction is completed and we are going to use this grid layout almost on every day. That's why if you have any other doubts, they will be resolved with everyday practice itself. And it is not such a complex concept even. It is slightly confusing for the beginners when we are especially taking the multiple classes combination here like this. So it appeared to be slightly confusing to understand, but if you spend some time on it, you can easily understand. So what is SM, when the SM will be activated, when MD will be activated. So when SM is activated, what is the division here? And for the MD, what is the division? Then you should know what is the range of SM, range of MD, range of LG. Then automatically you can create some good number of rows with different proportions. Hence the layout system is said to be completed. So the grid layout is also completed. So yesterday when we started the Bootstrap, I said that the first one is the basic CSS styles. The second one is tables and forms, that is also completed. And third important core concept of the Bootstrap is grid layout, that is also completed. And the last part of the Bootstrap are nothing but the components. So once we done with these components, so that our Bootstrap is set to be completed, and immediately I will take you to the design of the web pages. You can take the cloning of Amazon page, you can clone the Instagram page, you can clone some popular Facebook, whatever you want, you can simply close it once you learn these components also. That is the power of this Bootstrap. Within very less time, you can complete that. So what are these components actually? Actually, so many components are existed, but these are the most frequently used components in our real world applications. That's why I have taken these components. But I will show you what are the other components existed here. Let's go to getbootstrap.com website, read the docs, and at the left side menu, move down. You can see the components. See here, it contains a huge list of components here. But all these components are not useful to us almost in every application. So here I have taken the list of components which we can use almost in every web application. So I'm going to focus on these components. Now you may ask, sir, if you want to work with some other components which are not existed in the list, what is the situation? Don't worry, because of these components, you can learn how the components of the Bootstrap will work and how to use them. So with that knowledge, you can dynamically go to this website, and here you can select whatever the component you want, and you can read. It will give you the complete information about the components here, so that you can start working with them with your experience. Anyhow, I will be with you to help you regarding the website design, web application design also in future. Okay, so let us start focusing on these components. The first thing is, what is component? Component means the part of the page can be called as a component. Group of elements can be called as the component. Up to now, we didn't work with group of elements. Most of the times we worked with headings, paragraph, images individually and focusing on their styles. Like that we have worked till now. But sometimes we need to create some shapes actually. Some employee profile we want to create. That is a shape basically. That is available in the form of a component here. And we want to create a pop-up that is called as the modal. That is available in the form of a component here. I want to create the responsive navigation bar. That is again a component in the Bootstrap. I want to create a photo slideshow that is called as carousel. That is also available in the form of a component. And off canvas, that means the dynamic sidebar actually. So that that is available as off canvas. So these all are such kind of shapes which can help us to design our web page very easily. So the components are very important core parts of the Bootstrap. Let us start working with these components one by one. So the first component, alert, batch, these two are very simple components. Just within 2 minutes we can learn them. So from there onwards it will be started. Today let's try to complete the card at least, so that on remaining sessions we can work with the rest of the components. So first of all, I would like to create a new application here. So all of you try to create the new project again, because if you want to work with these components, we need to add some additional setup to this HTML document. So as usually, I have created the HTML, and also I need CSS file. Okay, so let me connect external CSS file here. Okay, now we need to add the Bootstrap. So to add the Bootstrap, let's go to the getbootstrap.com here again. Move down. So up to now, when we go to the include via CDN approach, yesterday we used a CSS link only. But if you want to use the components, we need the JavaScript support also. That means most of the components contain some functionality. That means when you click on element, it will respond to you. When you click on a button, it will respond to you. When you click on something, it will respond to you. How you can make such kind of interactive elements without JavaScript? It is impossible. If you click on the button, if something is happening, means definitely JavaScript is required. If JavaScript is not there, even you click on the button, nothing happens. For example, up to now we have created many forms and many buttons and many elements. Every time when we click on that element, nothing has happened. because these are just static elements. If I click on that element, if I am expecting something to be happen, definitely JavaScript should run behind the scenes. So here, most of the components contains the JavaScript support to run them properly. Otherwise, they won't run. Now you don't worry, we no need to write even a single line of JavaScript. All the JavaScript code also written in this Bootstrap library. We don't need to write single JavaScript statement when we are working with the Bootstrap components. All JavaScript code, all the CSS styles, all are predefined and available in the Bootstrap framework. The only thing is you need to add the links to your application. Automatically they start working. So as usually, first take the CSS link and add it in the head part of the document. So that is completed. And now let's come to the second one here. See, here actually we are using two things. One of them is bootstrap.js and popper.js. Two are bundled into a single package. So as of now, you no need to go with this detailed discussion. Just copy the script element. So link element can be used to connect the CSS files. Script element can be used to connect the JavaScript files. So the only thing is you have to copy this. And where you should place it. So the script element should be placed just above the closing body tag. So the link element can be placed in the head of the document, but the script element should be placed only just above the closing body tag, not into the head. What's the reason? I will teach you the reason once we enter into the JavaScript, because JavaScript knowledge is required to understand why should we place it in this particular area, not in the head of the document. So now let's come to the body, identify the closing body tag, and just above the closing body tag, paste it. Now I have placed this just above the closing body tag, and don't write anything between the script element and the closing body tag. And now in between them, you can write whatever you want. So here, first of all, let me add container. As usually, that is the first part. A container added, and you can add elements whatever you want here. So this is the basic structure of the web page that you have to create from today onwards. First, create the HTML document, and after that, go to the Get Bootstrap website, copy the CSS link, paste it in the head part of the document, and then go to the second one, that is JavaScript element here. So copy that element, and you can just place it just above the closing body tag. And now if you want to add any elements, you can add them between the body as well as the script element, in between them, not after the script element itself. So this is the typical structure of the Bootstrap template. Okay, so now let me open with live server here, and now it is an empty document here because I have not added any content to this one. So this is the setup that you need to complete first to work with the components. So setup is ready. Let us start working with the components one by one. Let us work with the first very simple component called as alert. This component is used to give some alert messages to the user. Alert messages means, for example, you are trying to log into the application. So your email is incorrect or password is incorrect. Then you will get the alert message, incorrect username, incorrect password. So alert messages are used to give some alert information to the user. So to get such kind of alert messages, a simple component is given by the Bootstrap. Okay, so where you can use two classes, alert class, and you can give some color to that alert message by using alert-color name. And the alert messages, alert component look like this. You might have seen these kind of messages in many web applications, but they are nothing but Bootstrap alert components. Now let us try to create some alert component here and see how it appears. So now here I would like to create alert component. So the only thing is you can take a div element and apply the class called as alert, and you can write whatever the message you want. Just I'm taking a simple. Okay, I've taken the simple content here. So let's open. You can see it is appearing like a normal paragraph, but you want to consider this as an alert message. So if you take some background color, automatically it will turn into the alert kind of message. So for that purpose, you can use the color alert -. You can use the same color names, danger, warning, etc., etc. For example, if you want to give some error message to the user, you can write alert-danger. Now you can see. So the background is turned into red color and the text also turned into dark red color. Finally, you can see these kind of messages when you get some error when you are interacting with the application. Now, if you want to make this as a successful message, so you can write alert success, you will get the green color message. When your username, password are correct, so you can generate these kind of operations. In the same way, when you want to generate some warnings, for example, so that you can generate such kind of yellow messages. Okay, so like that, you can use any kind of the stuff to make these alert messages with respect to each color has a separate meaning. Red has a separate meaning, yellow has a meaning. Like that, you can use the right color that is related to the message that you are displaying to the user. That's it, guys. The alert is very, very simple component. Just we use two classes. One of them is the alert class and the next one is the color of the alert message. And finally, the alert messages look like this. They are not alert messages. We can call them as the alert component. Very, very simple component it is. Now you can create these kind of components using CSS also. But in CSS, we need to write some code definitely. A good number of CSS properties we should use, but here it is just a matter of applying two classes, hence it will be created automatically. So the first alert component is completed. So the next one is badges. So the badges we can observe in many areas in our application. We may feel them as buttons, but they are not buttons actually. They are called as badges. So here you can see some two badges. The first one is very normal badge, nothing special about this. But when you see the second badge, here you can find some information appearing on top of the button, something like this. So you might have seen these kind of things in the notifications. When you receive multiple notifications, then in the notifications button, you can find the number of notifications that you have received. And you can use the same kind of button in e-commerce application. So here, user cart, for example, if it is the user cart button, it can display the number of items added to the user cart, 4 or 5 or 10 or whatever it may be. So this is also very simple. Here we can use only one class called badge, and to give the color to this, we are going to use background color only. There is no separate color class for the badge. So let me create a simple badge first and such a complex badge also, and we can go for the next one. Okay, so alert component is completed. Next, I would like to work with the badge component. So first, let me create very simple badge here. Okay, so now I have taken the simple badge like something hello. Let us see how it appears. Now, when I create the badge, it is not appearing here. The reason is badge is there, but the badge will make the text to appear white. The background is white, the text is white, that's why it is not appearing. But when you select that one, you can see it. So let us provide some background color, BG-danger, for example, sorry. BG-danger, now you can see the badge. It is almost very relevant to the button, but small in size when compared with the button. Okay, now the badge is ready. Like that, you can take whatever the color you want for this badge, just like BG danger, BG warning, etc., etc. Now I want to create some complex kind of badge, something like this. So first I need to take a button here. On top of the button, I should place the badge. That means badge component should be nested on the button. So let us take some button here, btn-primary. Now the blue colored button here I have taken, let me make it as notifications or anything that you want. Now you can see the button is ready here. Now on top of the button, I have to place this badge. So on top of the button in the sense, so after this, here I need to take the span element. So why should I use span element? On top of the button means button itself is very small element. On top of the button means how can you consider that space? So to deal with such small spaces, we can use the span element. Okay, now for the span element, we can apply the class called badge, and you can write the color BG-danger, for example. I write 5 here. You can see the badge is created on top of the button. You might have seen these kind of components in many modern applications. This can be easily created by using the badges. Now you can place the badge anywhere, not only on top of the button. You can nest this badge wherever you want. So that is totally your creativity. Okay, so the badge component is also completed. So these two components are really simple. Just by spending 2 minutes of the time, you can learn how to work with the alert component as well as the badge component also. Cool. So the next important component that we are going to work with is card. So from here onwards, the core components will be started, and we should be very careful, and we should take care of designing and all. We need to discuss a lot here about this one. First of all, what is a card basically? Cards generally used to represent the profiles, etc., etc. I will show you some real world websites where these components are available. Let me go to udemy.com, for example. So when you move here, see, these all are the cards. When you look at this first card, here you can see some image, after that some heading, a star rating, etc. And this is also a card. These all are the cards. See here, this page contains how many number of cards? Okay, so some cards are horizontal cards where the content is organized. This is called vertical card, guys. Incorrect spelling. This is vertical card and this is horizontal card. Okay, so vertical card means the content is aligned vertically like this. So image first, after some other content, after some other whatever it want. This is called as the vertical card. And these are called as the horizontal card. In the horizontal card, so the image can be placed either at left side or right side, and the content will be placed besides it, not below it. So now let us observe this Udemy website here. In this Udemy website, the first one is a horizontal card. Move down. So these all are the vertical cards. Here it contains a good number of vertical cards. And come to the next one. Here also it contains good number of vertical cards. And move down. Here, this is a horizontal card. And this is another horizontal card. In this horizontal card, the image is placed at the left side. In this horizontal card, it is placed in the right side. And the third one is also a horizontal card. Remember, 80% of this page contains only cards. Some of them are horizontal and some of them are vertical. So if you learn this cards concept, you can design 80% of this page today itself. 80% of this page, because so it contains some header and footer and also some other information like this. Except this part, remaining all is filled with the cards only. Okay, so now let's go with Amazon, for example. In the Amazon also, these are called as the cards, but they have some different appearance here. Okay, they have designed each card contains some 4 images, and each image contains some hyperlinks here in that way. Okay, so these are the cards you can find in many applications. Almost every application contains the cards. You cannot imagine the web application without a card. It has that much of importance in the web development. So let us start creating these cards, both vertical and horizontal, now itself. Okay, first let us focus on the vertical card. So if you want to create the card, we are going to use these classes. So card is a component which internally contains 3 parts: header, body, and footer. So first let me create the empty card. Later I can add the content to the empty card. So let us open this VS Code here. And now I'm going to add the card here. So this is vertical card. So in the vertical card, I can take the class called as card here. So let me separate this from the remaining code to improve the readability. Okay, so now I have taken the card, and the card contains 3 parts. So what are those? The first one is header of the card, and the next one is body, and the third one is footer. 3 parts are existed. To create the header, we can use the class card-header. It is ready. And for the body, we can use card-body. And similarly for the footer, we can use card-footer. Now the empty card is ready. So like that, you have to learn the guys, and you have to design your web page also, because as of now, this card is empty. But after placing content into the header, body, and footer, it becomes too lengthy and very hard to understand. That's why first try to create the empty component, whatever it may be, whether it is card or model or whatever it may be. Try to create the empty card. So the empty card is easy to understand. Then you can start filling the different parts of this component. It works well. Now let us see how this card look like. First of all, let me write margin top 5 because I want to get some space from the top. Already on the top we have some badges, etc., etc. To get some space from the top, I have used margin top 5. Let us open and see here. Now this is the card, but I placed this card after the container. That's why it is occupied 100%. Let's keep everything inside of the container only. Okay, so now you can see this is the card. Now the card is empty, but it contains 3 parts: header, body, footer. Header and footer both contains some gray background color and less height, whereas body contains more height and appearing in the white color. And if you do not specify the width for the card, it will occupy 100% width. Here this is the container, so it has occupied the 100% width of the container. Now I want to adjust the width of this container. I don't want the card to be occupied the entire width here. How can I adjust this? 2 possibilities. The first possibility is use the bootstrap class. For example, here I can write W50. So here it is W50 means 50%. Now the card will occupy 50%. But the problem is when I try to decrease the viewport width, when we go to the mobile, it try to occupy 50% of width even in the mobile. But what happened here? 50% in the mobile means this card is looking very ugly. In the tab it is average, in the large screens it is okay, but when we go to the mobile devices, so it is occupying 50. The width of the mobile itself is very small, and within that if we try to occupy 50%, it looking very odd and very ugly even. That's why don't try to provide the width of the elements by using bootstrap classes. Then how can we provide the width? If bootstrap classes are not useful to us, how can we provide the width to this card? Definitely we should write the CSS. Okay, so now you can take the class called card here, write dot card, and for this card I would like to provide the width in pixels. For example, if I give the width as 300 pixels, see here the width is fixed to 300. Now it won't respond with respect to the width of the device. Fixed width it is. Okay, so like that you can create the card. Now definitely you should use the CSS to provide width to the card in pixels, because the bootstrap has given the width properties only in percentages, not in pixels. They are not useful to us. Like that we have created the empty card and we have adjusted the width of the card also in this way. So the card is ready. Now let us try to add some content to the card. First to the header, let me add some dummy text here like header, and this is body, and this is footer. Okay, so now I have taken these things. Let us see the card is appearing in this way. So header, body, and footer. Now you can place the content whatever you want inside of the header, body, as well as footer also. And one more flexibility with the card is, if you don't want header, you can ignore the header. If you don't want body, ignore the footer. If you need only body and footer, you can ignore the header. Like that, out of these 3, you can take whatever you want and ignore the rest. You don't need to consider each and every part here. For example, I don't want the card header for this design. You can simply remove it. Now actually I have not removed it. I have just commented that. Now you can left with only the body and footer. Sometimes, sir, I don't want even the footer also for this design. You can simply remove it. Now I have taken the card, and this card contains only one child, that is card body. You can see the card body in this way. Okay, now let us try to add content here. First of all, let me add some pictures to this, guys. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so I have added some images here. Let's go to the application. Yes, now you have the images here. You can start using it. First of all, I would like to add some image to the body. So now let's remove body dummy text here. Instead of that, I can take the image / images and image1, something I have taken like this. Okay, image element. Now let's open and see here. See, the image is appearing in this way. What's the problem here? The size of the MI is very large when compared with the width of the card. Width of the card I have given just 300 pixels. When I add the image came out from the card because its width is very large. Now I need to inform to the image to occupy 100% width of the card. We can do that very easily. So now we can use the bootstrap class called as W100. Now I have informed this, whatever the width of your parent, try to fill 100%. So now we can use the percentage width absolutely fine. Now you can see it has occupied 100% width of this parent. And you can add some additional content also. Now I want to add some heading here. So H1, and I can write display -6. Okay, so I can write some technology heading I have taken here. So after the heading, I can take some paragraphs also. See, I have added a paragraph, and after that you can add whatever you want, guys. Okay, so here I would like to add some buttons and all. So this is the code. Now after this paragraph, I want to add a button also. So button.btn hyphen primary, color is your choice, and you can write whatever the text you want. For example, let me right click. Now you can see it is created here. Now the button is occupying 100% width. So yes, so we made this button as part of this body. This is the image element heading, and this is the paragraph. Okay, so I have to add this within the body. I add it outside of the body. That's the mistake here. Now you can see a beautiful button is also added. See here how easy it is to create such a cart. We created these kind of shapes in CSS also, but we have written so much of CSS code. But here we can do it very easily. Now you can compare the cards that they have created. Are they exactly same like this card or not? So additionally, they have placed some icons like stars as well as some additional stuff here. Okay, so finally the card is ready. Now you have the requirement, sir, when I take some image or some content, why this padding is there? Actually, we have not used any padding property. Remember, the body of the card contains the padding automatically. That's why this image is not occupying 100% because so padding is there. That's why the content is having the padding. Now, your requirement is, sir, I want to make this image to occupy 100% width without any padding. How can we do that? So the technique is take the image and place it just above the body. Up to now, you placed the image also part of the body. Now, if you want to make your image to occupy 100% width, just take the image and place it on top of the body. Now you can see the image has occupied 100% width here. Finally, it is looking beautiful. Now you can create some shadow effect for this card. I can write either CSS shadow or bootstrap shadow also. Shadow class is there. Now you can see the light shadow effect is created here. So all is of your choice. Okay, and you can write the rounded also here. You will get the rounded corners. See here, now you will get the rounded corners here, light rounded corners. Okay, for example, if I write rounded circle, definitely it looks ugly. Okay, so just you can try with this rounded and it is looking good. In that way, we can create the vertical cards. Now I have added just 3 elements to the body. You can add as many as you want. You can add some hyperlinks, you can add some icons here, and you can adjust the buttons to left, right, and center. These all are the normal elements that you can do. So the vertical card design is completed. To design this vertical card, just we have used the classes. Card is the parent class, which contains 3 parts: header, body, and footer. From this, you can pick whatever you need. Actually, in this design, I don't want header and footer, so that I have taken only the body and I have added all this stuff to the body. Finally, a beautiful card is ready to use. Okay, so once the vertical card is completed, now let us focus on horizontal card. So the horizontal card design is slightly different when compared with the vertical card, because for the vertical card, header and footer will be there. But for the horizontal card, no header and no footer, only body will be there. That is the first difference. Because this content is aligned horizontally, not vertically. That's why no header, no footer. Only body will be existed. That is the first thing. And how can you arrange the data in this way? Here we need to use the Bootstrap grid layout again. So now this card also has the 12 columns. Now the body of the card can be divided into two parts, either 4 plus 8 or 5 plus 7 or 6 plus 6 of your choice. And you can use the first partition for image and the next partition for some content. Let me try to create this horizontal card now. So first thing is, here I'm going to create some more cards in this page. But here, if I provide width by using the class name called card, this will be applied for all other cards I'm going to consider here. That's why I would like to take some custom width here, like a card-width. Actually, card-width is not a Bootstrap class. This is the custom class I have taken, and by using that custom class, I can write it here. Now, card is the Bootstrap class, but card-width is the class taken by me, that is the custom class. I took this custom class to provide the width to this one, because if I want to create some horizontal card here, again I'm going to take the card. So now let me try to create horizontal card here. So as usually, I have to take the card. Instead of the card, I have to take the card body. Now, if I use the card class here to provide the width, the same 300 pixel width will be applied for both horizontal card, vertical cards, and some other cards also. But I don't want to apply 300 pixels width for the horizontal card, and it's a different width. That's why here I have taken some custom class and apply the style with respect to the custom class. So now you can understand an important point. Along with the Bootstrap classes, you can, one second. Along with the Bootstrap classes, you can take the combination of the custom classes also. That is another important point here. Okay. Now the horizontal card is ready. I would like to get some space from the top, margin 5, so that I can get the space from all the sides, left, right, and all. Okay, so margin 5 I have taken here. So I have not placed any content, just you can see some border. And let me write some content into the body. You can see the card contains the body here. Okay, so now I want to design this card in this way. That means I want to use image either at left side or right side, and besides that I want to place some content. What should I do? Now I have to take a row inside of the body, and the row should be divided into two parts. Okay, so we already experimented with these rows and columns, so that let me take a row here, and I can take col-sm-4. That is the first part, and the next one is col-sm-8. This is the second part. So now the partition is ready, and I want to place the image in these 4 columns. Okay, so let's go to the 4 columns, image // you can take the image whatever you want here. Okay, and you can give the width W100, so it is going to occupy 100% width. Now you can see this card. So the first 4 columns is filled with this image. Okay, and after that, into these 8 columns you can place the content whatever you want. For example, let me use the same content what I have already taken. So place it in the 8 columns. Now you can see, so the content is placed in this one. So now you can add some other elements also here. Just for the demonstration, I am not adding any content here. So now the vertical card is ready and horizontal card is also ready. Now, sir, I want to add the image at the right side, not in the left side. It is very simple. Just to take these 4 columns and place it after 8 columns. So now you can see that image is moved towards the right side and the rest of the content is moved towards the left side. Now, sir, I would like to remove this border for this image, the padding and all. So definitely, if you want to remove that padding for this, so you can use the class, for example, card body p-0. P-0 means padding 0, so that it is occupying. But the problem is you are removing padding not only for the image, for the remaining content also, and it is not looking good. At that time, for the rest of the content, you have to take a different padding. For example, you can come to this part here, and after this image, for the entire padding 0, let me remove it, and go to the padding 0 I have taken, and let us keep all this stuff inside of the div element, and you can take some padding. For example, let me keep all this content inside of the div element. Okay, now for this div element, I can write class padding as 3, for example. Now you can see. So now the padding is available for the rest of the content, and the image has occupied 100% width here. So vertical chord is ready, as well as horizontal chord is also ready. And in the horizontal chord, I have demonstrated taking image at the left side and right side. Here I have taken the partition as 4 plus 8. You can take either 4 plus 8 or 6 plus 6. That is totally depends upon your requirement itself. Okay, so the horizontal chord is also ready. The horizontal chord design is slightly different when compared with the vertical chord, because the horizontal chord do not have header and footer. It contains only the body, and within the body we have to take the responsive grid layout, that is row, and you can divide the body into as many partitions as you need and place the respective content into that partition. Hence the horizontal chord concept is also completed. So now once the horizontal chord and vertical chords are completed, now let's move back to this Udemy website once. So how they have organized all these chords in the same line with equal height and equal width. See here, it is not one chord. Almost 5 chords are placed very beautifully here. How can we do that? Yes, to achieve that, we are going to use grid of chords. So this is the last part of the chords. As of now, we learned how to create vertical chord and horizontal chords also. So once you learn the grid of chords, then the chords concept is completed. You can work with any kind of chord in your application. So the grid of chords means it is not a new concept actually. So you can take individual vertical chords only, but you are going to make them as the grid to give the responsive nature to that particular chord. So let me show you how can we design this. So in this grid of chords, I'm going to use a new class. Observe carefully, and you can use the same class every time when you are working with this grid of chords. So what is that new class here? So here I'm going to write grid of chords. Okay, so in this grid of chords, first of all, let me take the div element and apply margin top or margin top 5. So I'm taking some space from the outside. So here, first thing is you can take a row, and inside of the row, you can take as many columns as you need. Each column is going to contain a separate chord, for example. So I'm taking a good number of columns here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. For example, I have taken 6 columns here. Now this is row, and I have taken 6 columns. Now you may ask, sir, when you take the call class, you need to make it responsive. You need to write call -sm some count number. But here you have not taken the infix, and we have not taken any row count also. Just we are using the call. Yes. How it can decide with respect to the breakpoints? For the purpose, Bootstrap has given a special class called row-calls-the count. So let me explain about this. If I write row-calls-1, so next one, row-calls-sm-2. So let me explain about this class. We know about the row class and call class, but what is this new class row calls? See here, I have taken the class row calls sm2. That means if the width is above 576 pixels, it should divide this row into 2 columns only. That means even you have taken some 6 columns here above sm, each row it can display 2 columns. That means how many rows can be created? So 1 row for these 2 columns, second row for these 2 columns, and third row for these 2 columns. That means above 576 pixels. So it will divide this into 3 lines. Next, row-calls-md-3. Above 768 pixels, it will display 3 columns in a row. That means the first 3 columns in one row, next 3 columns in another row. Next, row hyphen calls hyphen LG hyphen 4. So above 992 pixels, each row can display 4 columns. Here the number represents the number of columns. So the first 4 columns will appear in one row and the next one will appear in the second row automatically. Now let us see the first class. Row calls and no infix is given. No infix is given means less than 576. It is going to display only one row in one column. That means in mobile devices, each column will appear in a separate row in this way. Now only thing you need to do is instead of each column, take a card. For each column, write a separate card. Don't take more than one card inside of one column. Already I have designed the horizontal cards, a vertical card here. I would like to copy paste the code. So this is the card. So when you are copying the content, sometimes you might confuse which is opening tag and closing tag. Two approaches for that. For example, this is opening div element and so many closing div elements are existed. How to identify them? The first simple approach is click on the tag, opening tag. Then the corresponding closing tag will be highlighted so that you can copy paste this code. Another simple approach is you can just collapse that, automatically it will get it. So let me copy this and come to this first column and paste it here. So instead of this column, you no need to provide card width. You should not provide card width because the width of the card will be taken care by this special class called as row calls. Actually, when we have the first horizontal card, we have provided some width to this 300 pixels. But when we are taking the grid of cards, you should not provide any width. The reason is, so this row calls will decide how many cards to be displayed in each row. That's why you should not take any width here. Now the first card is ready. Let me copy this card and go to the second column, paste it. Okay, and close it. And like that, I'm using the same card, guys, but you can try with the different cards with different images and all. Just I have simply copied the card I have created. Now you can see, so this is my class here. Okay, so this is the first column. This is the second column. And this is the third column, fourth column, fifth column. And we expand the column. Each column contains a card. Okay, so now let us see finally how it appears. Let's move down. Wow, so beautiful arrangement is here. So above 992 pixels, it is displaying all the cards in this way. So when we go to the medium devices, see here, it is displaying only 3 cards in a row. And let's go to the small device, it will display only 2 cards in a row. Let's go to the mobile device, it will display only 1 card for each row. That means in mobile device also we can see the cards, and in the tab device also you can see the 2 cards per row, and in the medium screens I can see 3 cards in a row, and from large screen onwards I can see. That means you can decide here how many cards should appear in a row. How we are able to decide this? With the help of this special and very powerful class called row calls. First one, row calls 1. No infix means less than 576. Less than 576 pixels, it should display 1 column per row. Let's come to less than 576. You can see, so for each row, it is displaying 1 column. First column, second column, like that. So now in the SM, that means above 576 and in below 768. In between them, it will display 2 columns in a row. So let's move above 576. See here now, each row is displaying 2 columns, and we know each column contains a card, so that it is looking good. Now here I have taken MD, means above 768, it will display 3 cards in a row. Let's go to above 768. See here, when I cross the 768, now it is 771, it start displaying 3 columns in a row. And above 992, it is display 4 columns in a row. And finally, we are able to create the grid layout here. Okay, so the layout of grid is available here. So in this way, we can create the horizontal cards vertical cards as well as grid of cards also. And after designing this page, it is fully responsive. You don't need to bother about whether it is responsive or not. See here. And even if you take the horizontal card, let me open this in the large screen. See here, in the small screens, the horizontal card is also converted into vertical card. The reason is we have taken a row in the body. So that's why it is appearing like this. Okay. So like that, the page is fully responsive and we are able to decide how many rows should be displayed with respect to the breakpoints. So now it is giving the beautiful view in all devices. Okay, so that much easy here to create. So now with this idea, you can create almost 80%. Now we don't bother about this part here. This is called as carousel, photo slideshow. So you no need to implement, and you cannot even implement at this level. So you have to just design this page by taking these 5 components here, and you can use the same images even. So right click and copy paste the image. For example, if you want to create this horizontal card, use the same text and use the same image. Just get the copy image address and you can use that image in your application so that you will get the image here. Okay, so like that, today in the assignment, so you have to, I will give 2 assignments to you. So one of them is designing the Udemy page, but you cannot design this complete page at this level. Only identify the cards of this page. This is the horizontal card, and these are grid of vertical cards. Again, grid of vertical cards. Okay, now let me open this in mobile view. Let us see how it appears. Now it is displaying 4 cards in a row. See here, now it is displaying 3 cards in a row. Now it is displaying 2 cards in a row. In the mobile, it will display 1 card in a row. See here, they have followed the same principles. Okay, now you can see 3 cards in a row. Now 2 cards in a row, 3 cards, 4 cards in a row, and finally 5 cards in a row. So like that, you can identify the horizontal cards. Again, this is the horizontal card, and this is another horizontal card, and this is another horizontal card. The only thing is you need to copy the image address, whatever they have placed here, and you can just copy paste the text also without typing. And finally, you have to design almost, you can complete 70% of this page design, because 70% of this page contains cards only, both the combination of horizontal cards, vertical cards, as well as grid of cards also, so that you have to complete this assignment without fail before attending for the tomorrow session. On tomorrow, we can see the remaining components. Okay, so what are the other components that we are going to deal with? Collapse component, drop down, modal, and all these things one by one. Actually, I plan to teach the collapse also, but it may be because until you work with the cards, you will not get better idea. So without getting the better idea on this, it is not good to go for the next content. So no hurry here, actually you have sufficient time. So today you have to work with these cards and also grid layout mechanism. So you will be psychologically ready to understand the next concepts. So on tomorrow's session, we are going to discuss these things.